One thing that I love about a really cold winter's day is that it's a great excuse to make a big pot of soup. Today I'm going to show you how to make my super easy one pot butternut squash soup recipe that uses minimal ingredients and takes less than 30 minutes to make. Let's get to it.
Now you don't need very much equipment to make this recipe, but one thing you will need is a large pot. Then you're going to start chopping up the basics of any soup recipe, your mirepoix. And what your mirepoix is a French culinary technique that serves as the base for any soup or sauce recipe. A mirepoix consists of 3 ingredients: onions, carrots, and celery. And to save a little bit of time, I heat up some olive oil while I start chopping the onions. Another pro tip here is to save your onion skins for vegetable stock later on. Once you have them all chopped up, you can add them into your pot. Next, I cut up the carrots. I cut them into pretty large chunks here because we're going to blend the soup later on. And then I give it a good stir to make sure that everything's coated in the olive oil. And then lastly, I add the celery. Same again here. It's in some decently large chunks. Once those are cooking and they smell pretty fragrant, then you're going to want to add some chopped garlic. Since this is the last of my garlic, what I'm going to do is take that little bowl and I'm going to fill the rest of it with water so I can start to deglaze the pan at the bottom. Now here comes the part we've all been waiting for, is when we take our cooked squash. You can either take this from frozen or previously roasted, or even raw, and just let it cook a little bit longer. But you just add that to your pot and then you cover it with vegetable stock. Having roasted is going to give you a lot more depth of flavor, where a raw is going to give you a little bit more of a starchy flavor, and it's going to take a little extra bit of time to cook. If you add the squash from frozen, from here you can add a little bit of kosher salt to help it cook. And again, make sure it's all covered in vegetable stock and give it a good stir and make sure everything's all mixed. Before I let it simmer for a long amount of time, I'm going to add my secret ingredient, which is raw cashews. And I like adding these because the cashews add a lot of creaminess and texture to the soup while also adding a little bit of protein and healthy fats, while not adding a lot of flavor. Then you can cover it and let the pot simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes, maybe a half an hour. You really can't overcook it. And while that's simmering, I actually like to prepare some toast. So this is a whole wheat loaf, and I'm just cutting a few slices, and I'm going to let them toast while the soup is cooking. Now, you can throw this in the toaster, you can throw this in the oven, but I actually like to use a cast iron pan on the stove. Don't forget to tend to it from time to time just by giving it a good stir, making sure everything's getting incorporated. Now, to toast your bread in a cast iron is a pretty easy thing to do. You'll just want to make sure you add some olive oil into the pan, and then you're going to want to add your slices of bread. And the little bit of olive oil actually makes it crispy and fatty, which is a really nice combination in the soup. Now we're all about multitasking over here, so while that's toasting, I'm going to take my immersion blender and I'm going to blend the soup. Now it's been cooking for about 20 minutes or so. Changing the angle here just so you can get a better view. It shouldn't take that long to do it, depending on the power of your immersion blender. But you're just going to want to make sure everything's homogeneous, and maybe about halfway through flip your bread. Just don't forget about it. And you'll notice that those cashews really do make a huge difference in the final texture of this soup. And just to give the soup a little bit more body, I'm going to add a healthy drizzle of olive oil and just blend that in together to make sure that it's smooth, creamy, and velvety. And then give it a final taste test before you declare it done, and I'm going to finish it off with some salt and some pepper. And just that little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. It looks like a lot, but this is a whole pot, so just remember that. And just stir it in, and then you've got yourself some really delicious soup for dinner. And now we're going back to the bread just to give it a little bit more attention. And while that bread at the other side is toasting, I'm just doing some cleanup here. This is a made to sustain hack. I like to save some of my vegetable scraps and put them in a freezer bag. Now, this is a little unconventional and something you might not think that would go with a soup, but this is actually goat cheese with the cranberry and the cinnamon on the outside. The cranberry and cinnamon on the outside of the roll. And I like to add it because I think it adds a really nice balance of acidity with the soup. And it just really is a nice, pleasant combination that tastes delicious and it tastes just like fall. And don't forget to dip your bread in your soup and eat it and enjoy it while it's hot.
Today's recipe. I really hope you enjoyed today's recipe. I know I certainly did, and I'll be eating this soup for the next couple of days because it's supposed to be really cold here. And I hope you decide to make it. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And if you like this, if you're looking for more recipes for super inspiration, don't forget to check out my potato leek soup over here. Thanks. See you in the next one.